You woke up this morning. You went through the motions. Shower, coffee, maybe a commute, maybe a screen, and somewhere between the first notification and the 10th, you felt it again. That quiet hollowness, that strange sense that you're watching your own life from a distance. You have things, maybe even good things. A job, a roof, people who would call you a friend. And yet there's this weight you can't name. This feeling that something essential has gone missing. Not dramatic, not a crisis, just empty. Like a room that should echo but doesn't. And here's what makes it worse. You can't talk about it, because men don't talk about this. You're supposed to push through, stay focused, be strong. So you bury it, you distract yourself, you scroll, you work, you drink, you sleep, you repeat. And the emptiness, it just waits. If any of this sounds familiar, stay with me. Because in this video, we're going to explore something that most people will never tell you. That this emptiness you feel is not a weakness. It's not laziness. It's not a failure to be grateful for what you have. According to Carl Jung, one of the most profound psychologists who ever lived, this hollowness may actually be a signal, a call from deep within your own psyche that something is asking to be found. Today I'll share with you 6 Jungian insights into why so many modern men feel this way, why the world seems to offer everything and yet leaves you with nothing that truly fills you, and more importantly, what this emptiness might actually be pointing you toward. So stay until the end. Because if you've been quietly carrying this feeling, wondering if something is wrong with you, you may discover today that nothing is wrong. Something is waking up. And before we go deeper, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. Have you felt this emptiness? That sense of going through life on autopilot? I want to hear your story. Think about the life you were told to build. Work hard, earn money, get the promotion, buy the car, find the partner, check the boxes. And you did, or you're trying to, but nobody warned you what would happen when you got there. Nobody told you that success can feel like a house with no furniture. That achievement can leave you more hollow than hunger ever did. Jung understood this deeply. He saw that modern life offers men an endless stream of external goals, but almost nothing for the inner world. And when a man spends decades building outward while ignoring what's within, something breaks. Not loudly, not obviously. It breaks the way a river dries up. Slowly, silently, until one day you realize the water is gone and you can't remember when it stopped flowing. Jung called this a crisis of meaning, and he said it strikes hardest in the second half of life, though today it's reaching men younger and younger. You can have everything society told you to want and still feel like you have nothing, because the soul doesn't feed on salaries and status. It feeds on purpose, on depth, on connection to something larger than your own survival. And when those things are missing, emptiness moves in like fog. You can't grab it. You can't fight it. You can only feel it, cold and formless, filling every room you enter. This is not depression, though it can look like it. This is not ingratitude, though others might accuse you of it. This is your psyche sending a message. The life you're living is not the life you were meant for. And until you listen, the emptiness will only grow. There's a mask you wear. You might not even know you're wearing it anymore. It's the version of you that shows up at work, that laughs at the right jokes, that says, "I'm fine," when someone asks how you're doing. Jung called this the persona, and every man has one. The persona isn't evil. It's necessary. It helps you function, fit in, navigate the social world. But here's the danger. When you wear the mask too long, you forget there's a face beneath it. You start to believe that the performance is who you are, and the real you, The one with doubts and desires and dreams that don't fit the script gets locked away in a room you stop visiting. This is where the emptiness begins to breed. Because you can't feel full when you're not even present. You can't feel alive when the thing walking through your life is a character, not a person. The persona gets promoted. The persona goes to the gym. The persona sends the emails and attends the meetings and smiles at the strangers. But the persona cannot love. It cannot grieve. It cannot feel wonder or meaning or joy. It can only perform. And so men become actors in their own lives. They hit their marks. They say their lines. And at night, when the audience is gone, they sit in the silence and wonder why none of it feels real, why the applause doesn't land, why the rewards feel like props. Jung warned that a man who identifies completely with his persona becomes hollow at the center. He becomes what others need him to be and loses what he actually is. And the tragedy is that most men don't realize this until the emptiness becomes unbearable. Until they wake up at 40 or 30 or 25 and realize they have no idea who they are beneath the mask they've been wearing since childhood. If you feel like you're performing your life instead of living it, this is why. The persona has taken the wheel, and the real you is somewhere in the back seat waiting to be remembered. There's a part of you that you've never met, or rather, a part you've been avoiding your entire life. Jung called it the shadow, and it holds everything you were taught to reject about yourself. Every boy learns early what's acceptable and what isn't. Don't cry, don't be weak, don't be too sensitive, too loud, too strange. And so you took those parts of yourself, the parts that didn't fit, and you pushed them down into the dark. You locked away your anger, your sadness, your fear, your tenderness. You buried the artist, the dreamer, the wounded child, the wild man. And you told yourself they were gone. But the shadow doesn't disappear. It waits. It festers. It leaks into your life in ways you don't recognize. That sudden flash of rage at something small. That addiction you can't explain. That sabotage of good things right when they start to work. That's the shadow knocking on the door you sealed shut years ago. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And this is what happens to men who never face their shadow. They feel controlled by forces they can't name. They repeat the same patterns, the same failures, the same empty relationships. They wonder why they keep ending up in the same place no matter how hard they try to escape. The emptiness you feel is partly this. It's the absence of your own wholeness. You've been walking through life with half of yourself missing, and no amount of success or pleasure can fill that gap. Only integration can. Only the courage to turn around. Open that door and meet the parts of yourself you abandoned long ago. This is not comfortable work. The shadow contains things you don't want to see. Shame, grief, memories you buried for good reason. But Jung believed that the shadow also contains gold. Hidden in the darkness are gifts you never developed, strengths you never claimed, parts of your soul that have been waiting decades for you to come back and find them. The emptiness is not proof that something is wrong with you. It's proof that something is missing, and what's missing is you. There's another figure in your psyche that you've probably been ignoring. Jung called it the anima, the feminine aspect that lives within every man. And before you dismiss this, understand what it actually means. The anima is not about gender, it's about wholeness. It represents the parts of life that our culture teaches men to reject. Emotion, intuition, receptivity, connection, creativity, the ability to simply be rather than constantly do, These are not weaknesses. They are essential capacities of the human soul. And when a man cuts himself off from them, he cuts himself off from life itself. Think about it. When was the last time you let yourself feel something fully, without immediately trying to fix it or push it away? When was the last time you created something just for the joy of creating? When was the last time you sat in stillness, not scrolling, not planning, not solving, just existing? For many men, these questions have no answer, because the anima has been so suppressed that they've forgotten she exists. And so they walk through life with one lung, one arm, one eye, functional, yes, but operating at half capacity, unable to access the depth and richness that makes life feel worth living. Jung observed that men with an undeveloped anima often feel cut off from meaning. They can analyze but not feel. They can achieve but not enjoy. They can possess but not connect. And this creates a particular kind of emptiness. The emptiness of a man surrounded by everything he wanted but unable to touch any of it, unable to let it touch him. The anima is the bridge between your ego and your soul. She is the guide to the deeper waters, the translator of dreams, the keeper of what truly matters. And when you ignore her, you remain stranded on the surface of your own life, busy, productive, successful, perhaps, but utterly, profoundly alone. Reconnecting with the anima is not about becoming something you're not. It's about reclaiming something you always were but learned to hide. It's about letting yourself feel, letting yourself wonder, letting yourself be moved by beauty and grief and love without armoring up against it. This is not weakness. This is the doorway back to being fully human. And until you walk through it, the emptiness will remain. Jung noticed something that haunts the modern world. We have killed our gods and found nothing to replace them. For thousands of years, men had myths, rituals, sacred stories that gave shape to their lives. They knew where they came from, why they were here, what happened when they died. The great questions had answers, even if those answers were mysterious, and that mystery itself was nourishing. Now those structures have collapsed. Science explained the mechanics, but not the meaning. Consumerism offered products, but not purpose. And men were left in a world that functions perfectly, but signifies nothing. A world of how without any why. This is the spiritual crisis at the root of modern male emptiness. Not that men have stopped believing in specific religions, though many have, but that men have stopped believing in anything larger than their own individual survival. There's no story to belong to, no great work to participate in, no sense that your life matters beyond your own small sphere of comfort and accumulation. Jung understood that the psyche needs meaning, the way the body needs food. Starve it, and it begins to wither. And meaning cannot be manufactured by the ego. It must be discovered through connection to something beyond the ego. Call it God, call it nature, call it the collective unconscious, call it the self with a capital S. Whatever name you give it, there must be something that transcends your daily concerns, something that puts your suffering in context, something that makes the struggle feel worthwhile. Without this, men become what Jung called neurotic. Not in the clinical sense, but in the sense of being fundamentally out of alignment with life. They work jobs that mean nothing to them. They chase goals that were handed to them by advertising. They fill their hours with entertainment designed to distract rather than fulfill. And beneath it all, the emptiness spreads, because no amount of comfort can replace the absence of meaning. This is not a call to return to the past or adopt beliefs you don't hold. It's a recognition that the soul has needs that the modern world refuses to acknowledge. And until those needs are met, no promotion, no purchase, no achievement, no relationship will ever be enough. You will remain hungry at a table full of food that doesn't nourish. Jung spoke of a process he considered the central task of human life. He called it individuation. It means becoming who you actually are, not who you were told to be, not who you pretend to be, but the unique, unrepeatable expression of life that only you can embody. Individuation is not self-improvement. It's not about becoming more productive, more successful, more attractive. It's about integration, bringing together all the scattered pieces of yourself, the persona you show and the shadow you hide, the masculine you perform and the feminine you suppress, the wounds you carry and the gifts you've never opened. It's about becoming whole. And here is what Jung discovered. The emptiness that haunts modern men is often the beginning of this process, not the end. It's the psyche's way of saying the old life isn't working. Something new is trying to be born. The hollowness is not proof that you're broken. It's proof that you've outgrown a version of yourself that no longer fits. This is why the emptiness cannot be fixed by doing more of what you've already been doing. More work won't fill it. More money won't fill it. More distraction, more achievement, more numbing won't fill it. Because the emptiness is not a hole to be filled from the outside. It's a space that's been cleared for something to emerge from within. Individuation asks you to stop running, to turn and face the emptiness instead of fleeing from it, to ask it what it wants, what it's trying to show you, where it's trying to lead. And when you do this, something remarkable begins to happen. The emptiness starts to transform. What felt like absence becomes presence. What felt like death becomes the first stirring of new life. Jung said that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And for many men, the journey toward that self begins in the darkness of the empty room they've been avoiding. The emptiness is not your enemy, it's your invitation. So where does this leave you? Sitting with the recognition that the hollowness you feel is not a flaw, but a calling, that the modern world has failed to give you what your soul needs, that the masks, the shadows, the severed connections, the absent meaning, all of it has accumulated into this weight you carry. But also sitting with this truth, you are not stuck. The emptiness is not a life sentence. It's a threshold. Jung's work offers not just diagnosis, but direction. Face the shadow. You don't have to do it all at once, but stop running from the parts of yourself you've hidden. Let them speak. Let them be seen, even if only by you. This is where the lost energy lives. This is where the vitality went. Reconnect with the anima. Let yourself feel without fixing. Create without purpose. Sit in stillness without agenda. Stop treating your inner life as an inconvenience to be managed and start treating it as the ground of your existence. Question the persona. Ask yourself which parts of your performance are truly you and which are just armor. You don't have to tear off the mask violently, but loosen it. Let yourself be seen imperfectly by people you trust. Risk being real instead of just being acceptable. Seek meaning, not happiness. Happiness is a byproduct, not a goal. What makes your soul feel alive? What would you do if no one was watching and nothing was counting? What breaks your heart in a way that tells you something matters? Follow those threads. They lead somewhere. And finally, trust the process. Individuation is not a weekend project. It's the work of a lifetime. There will be setbacks, confusion, long nights of doubt. But every step toward wholeness is a step away from emptiness. And the path becomes clearer the further you walk. You came to this video carrying something heavy, and perhaps now that weight feels a little different. Not lighter exactly, but more understood, more purposeful. The emptiness you feel is real, but it's not what you thought it was. It's not proof of your failure or your brokenness or your inability to be happy like everyone else seems to be. It's proof that you're human, that you have a soul, and that your soul is asking for more than the modern world knows how to give. Jung spent his life mapping the depths of the psyche, and what he found was not just darkness, but buried treasure, not just wounds, but doorways, not just shadows, but light that had been hidden so it could one day be found. You are not empty because something is wrong with you. You are empty because something is missing. And what's missing is not out there somewhere, in the next purchase or promotion or relationship. What's missing is in here, in the parts of yourself you abandoned, in the depths you've never explored, in the life you were meant to live but haven't yet begun. The emptiness is not your enemy. It's the call to come home. And if you've made it to the end of this video, something in you already knows the way.